Hey everyone, welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. We're always talking about smart ways for retirees to protect their savings. And well, today we're diving into a strategy that could be especially interesting for those of you with a pretty substantial nest egg built up.
Yeah, we're talking to those of you who might have, $100,000 or even 5 million or more tucked away in IRAs, 401ks, or savings accounts.
Especially if you're feeling a little bit on edge about all the market volatility and inflation we've been seeing lately.
Exactly right. Because when you've worked hard to build a comfortable retirement, you don't want to see it all disappear because of economic uncertainty.
Absolutely not, and that's why we're talking about Gold IRAs today. And by the way, don't forget to grab our free Gold IRA checklist. It's linked in the first link in the description. It'll really help you navigate the process of opening a Gold IRA.
Definitely worth checking out. So let's jump right in. Have you ever considered a gold IRA as a way to add some diversity to your retirement portfolio?
I hear a lot about diversification, but I'm curious what makes gold so special in this context. Why not just stick with traditional stocks, bonds, and real estate?
Well, gold has this unique quality that makes it really stand out during times of economic uncertainty. Unlike those paper assets you mentioned, which can swing wildly based on what the market's feeling, gold is a tangible asset with intrinsic value.
Okay, so it's like something solid you can hold on to when everything else seems to be up in the air.
Yeah, kind of like a security blanket for your portfolio when things get a little rough.
Right.
Gold has held its value for centuries. It's like a safe haven when we see inflation or geopolitical instability.
It's interesting you say that because I remember back in 2008 when the stock market was tanking,
Yeah.
gold actually went up in value.
Exactly. It acted as a buffer for those investors who had some gold in their portfolio and helped to offset those losses from the stock market crash.
That's a pretty powerful example. All right, so let's say someone listening is intrigued by this whole gold IRA idea, but they're starting from scratch. Can you break down what it is and how it works in simple terms?
Sure, think of it like a traditional IRA, but instead of holding stocks or bonds, you're holding physical gold, like gold bars or coins. But there's a catch.
There's always a catch.
What is it?
You can't just stash this gold under your mattress or in a safe at home.
Oh, right. I guess the IRS would have something to say about that.
You bet. It's got to be done through an IRS-approved process. So you start by choosing a custodian.
A custodian, like a financial guardian for my gold.
Exactly. They specialize in precious metals IRAs, and they'll walk you through the steps of purchasing IRS-approved gold, which is then stored securely in an IRS-approved depository.
Wait, hold on. An IRS-approved depository? Are we talking Fort Knox level security here?
Not quite Fort Knox, but definitely highly secure facilities designed specifically for storing precious metals. These depositories have to meet strict IRS requirements for safety insurance and auditing, so you can rest assured your gold is in good hands.
Okay, so it's like a traditional IRA, but with the added benefit of holding a tangible asset like gold that has historically held its value. Precisely. And don't forget, you still enjoy the tax advantages of a traditional IRA, but with that extra layer of protection that gold can offer.
Before we move on, though, I do want to remind everyone about that free Gold IRA checklist we mentioned earlier. It's in the first link in the description, and it's packed with helpful information to get you started.
Definitely worth checking out. Okay, so we've covered the basics of what a gold IRA is and how it works. But let's get down to brass tacks here. Why would someone, especially a wealthy retiree with a lot on the line, actually choose a gold IRA? What are the specific advantages they'd be looking for?
That's where things get really interesting. Gold IRAs offer a unique combination of benefits that can be especially attractive to those with significant assets to protect.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Let's dive into those benefits.
One of the most significant is protection against inflation.
Yeah.
You've worked hard to build your wealth, and the last thing you want is to see it eroded away by rising prices, right?
Right. Gold has historically acted as a hedge against inflation because unlike paper currency, its value isn't tied to government policies or economic fluctuations.
Okay, so let's say inflation really starts to take off, and the cost of living just keeps climbing. How would gold protect my savings in that scenario?
Think of it this way. When inflation goes up, the purchasing power of the dollar goes down. So you need more dollars to buy the same things, but gold tends to hold its value even when the dollar weakens. In fact, it often increases in value during times of inflation, providing a buffer against those rising costs.
So it's like a counterbalance.
Mhm.
As the value of the dollar drops, the value of gold rises, helping to maintain my purchasing power.
Exactly, and that's especially important for retirees living on a fixed income.
Yeah, they'd really feel the pinch if their savings aren't keeping up with inflation.
Absolutely. They need to be extra careful about protecting their savings from inflation because they don't have the option of increasing their income to keep pace with those rising prices.
Makes perfect sense. It's like having an insurance policy against inflation eating away at your nest egg. So we've got protection against inflation. What else is on that list of benefits?
Another key advantage is gold's ability to hedge against market volatility. The stock market can be a bit of a roller coaster, ups and downs, sometimes pretty dramatic. And while some volatility is normal, it can be nerve-wracking for retirees who depend on their investments for income.
Yeah, especially those who are close to or already in retirement. I'm sure they're all having flashbacks to 2008.
I bet. And remember how I mentioned gold's tendency to move inversely to the stock market? Well, during the 2008 financial crisis, when the stock market plunged, gold actually held its ground and even saw some gains. It provided a cushion for investors who had diversified into gold, helping to soften the blow of those stock market losses.
It's like a shock absorber for your portfolio, smoothing out those bumps in the road and providing some stability when the market gets rocky.
That's a great way to put it. It's this non-correlation with the stock market that makes gold such a powerful tool for diversification. It helps reduce your overall portfolio risk by providing a counterbalance to those inevitable stock market swings.
Now, I know gold isn't exactly known for its explosive growth potential. It's more of a slow and steady type of investment, right?
That's true. Gold isn't going to skyrocket in value overnight like some tech stocks might. But that's not really the point of including gold in a retirement portfolio. It's about stability preservation of capital and providing a hedge against those economic wildcards that can pop up. However, it's worth noting that over the long term, gold has consistently appreciated in value. So it's not just about playing defense, it can contribute to growth as well.
It's about finding that balance between growth and preservation, especially as you move into retirement. So it makes sense from a purely financial perspective. But I'm curious about something else. You talked about gold being a tangible asset. Does that psychological aspect of owning something real play a role in its appeal for retirees?
Absolutely. Unlike stocks or bonds, which exist as digital entries in an account, gold is something you can physically hold in your hand. It had weight, it has history, it has a certain allure that goes beyond its monetary value.
You're right. There's something grounding about holding a piece of gold.
Yeah.
It feels reassuring in a way that a stock certificate just doesn't.
Exactly. For many retirees, owning gold provides a sense of security and control over their investments, especially in uncertain times. It's like having a piece of history, a symbol of enduring value right there in your portfolio. And hey, let's be honest. There's a certain satisfaction that comes with owning something tangible, something with intrinsic value that you can pass down to future generations.
It's like having a little piece of financial peace of mind. And speaking of peace of mind, I want to remind everyone about that free Gold IRA checklist we've put together. It's linked in the first link in the description, and it's designed to help you navigate the world of gold IRAs, compare providers, and make sure you're choosing the right path for your retirement savings.
It's a great tool to have on hand as you start exploring your options.
Now let's address the elephant in the room. Scams. I'm sure some of our listeners might be thinking, this all sounds fantastic, but what about those gold IRA scams I keep hearing about? How do we make sure we don't fall prey to those bad actors?
That's a very valid concern, and unfortunately, the rising popularity of gold IRAs has attracted some unscrupulous players. But here's the good news. With a little bit of knowledge and awareness, you can easily avoid these scams.
Okay, so knowledge is power. What are the key things our listeners should be looking out for? What are the red flags that should set off alarm bells?
Well, one of the biggest red flags is high-pressure sales tactics. If a company is really pushing you to make a quick decision without giving you time to do your research or understand all the details, that's a major warning sign.
So it's like those late night infomercials where they try to create a sense of urgency. Call now, operators are standing by, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Reputable gold IRA companies won't pressure you. They understand this is a big financial decision, and they'll encourage you to take your time, ask questions, and compare your options.
That makes sense. What about those guaranteed returns promises? I'm always a little suspicious of anything that sounds too good to be true.
You're right to be suspicious. No investment can guarantee returns, especially in the precious metals market. Gold prices can fluctuate, and while they've historically trended upwards over the long term, there are no guarantees. Any company promising guaranteed returns is likely trying to pull the wool over your eyes.
So if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. That's a good rule of thumb for any investment, not just gold IRAs.
What other red flags should we be watching out for?
Pay close attention to the fees involved. While gold IRAs do have some fees associated with them, things like custodian fees, storage fees, and transaction fees, these should be clearly outlined and transparent. If a company is vague about fees or tries to bury them in the fine print, that's a red flag.
Transparency is key. A reputable gold IRA provider will be upfront about all the costs involved. Okay, so we've talked about the red flags. Now let's flip the script and talk about what to look for in a trustworthy gold IRA provider. What are the signs that a company has your best interests at heart? First and foremost, look for experience and a solid track record. Choose a company that specializes in gold IRAs and has a proven history of successfully managing these types of investments.
So don't just go with the first company that pops up on a Google search.
Exactly. Do your homework. Check their website, read online reviews, see what other investors are saying about their experiences. You can even check with organizations like the Better Business Bureau to see if there are any complaints or red flags.
Reputation matters. You want a company that's known for its integrity and transparency. What else should we consider when we're evaluating potential gold IRA providers?
Make sure they offer IRS-approved gold products and storage options. Remember, not all gold is created equal when it comes to IRAs. The IRS has specific requirements for the type of gold that can be held in a gold IRA. A reputable provider will only offer products that meet these standards.
So it's not just about buying any gold bar or coin off the street. There are specific types of gold that qualify for IRAs.
That's right. The IRS typically requires gold bullion coins or bars that meet certain purity standards. A trustworthy provider will walk you through these requirements and make sure you're investing in eligible products.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the storage aspect? You mentioned IRS-approved depositories earlier. What should we be looking for there?
Make sure the provider uses reputable, secure, and fully insured depositories that meet all IRS regulations. You want your gold to be safe and sound, so storage is a crucial part of the equation.
Absolutely. Security is paramount. What about customer service? Is that something we should be thinking about?
Definitely. You want a company that's responsive, knowledgeable, and easy to work with. This is a long-term investment, so you want a provider that's going to be there to support you every step of the way.
It's like having a trusted advisor in your corner, someone you can turn to with questions or concerns.
Exactly. A good gold IRA company will be your partner, helping you navigate the ins and outs of this type of investment and making sure you're making smart decisions along the way.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground today, from the basics of what a gold IRA is to the benefits, the red flags to watch out for, and how to find a trustworthy provider. But let's bring it back to our listeners for a moment. If you're a wealthy American retiree with a sizable nest egg, how could a gold IRA potentially fit into your overall retirement plan? What are the key takeaways you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the biggest takeaway is the importance of diversification. You've worked hard to build your wealth, and it's essential to protect it from all those different economic risks that can chip away at its value, things like inflation, market volatility, and geopolitical uncertainty.
That diversification idea keeps coming up. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Exactly. Gold has a long history as a safe haven asset. It tends to hold its value during times of turmoil, and it can act as a counterbalance to your traditional investments like stocks and bonds. So including a gold IRA as part of a diversified retirement portfolio can help you weather those economic storms and potentially boost your overall returns while managing risk.
Like having a little bit of financial insurance. That extra layer of protection that lets you sleep soundly at night.
Exactly. And remember, knowledge is power. The more you understand about gold IRAs, the better equipped you'll be to make the right decisions for your financial future.
Couldn't agree more. And speaking of knowledge, don't forget about that free gold IRA checklist we put together for you. You'll find the link in the first link in the description. It's a great resource to help you compare providers, understand the process, and steer clear of those potential pitfalls.
It's definitely worth a look.
Well, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into gold IRAs for wealthy American retirees. We hope you found it informative and helpful. Remember, your retirement is your time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So take control, do your research, and make choices that align with your vision for a secure and fulfilling future.
We'll see you next time.